Hello, friends. Welcome to this week's episode of the Remarkable People podcast with our friend, David Sauers. This week, David's going to talk to us about entrepreneurship, seizing opportunity, what to do, how to change your mindset, and so much more. He talks about how he grew up a little bit, how as an adult he was in commercial banking, and then how he had an idea and his partner and him took it to a whole new level and started Royal Restrooms, which you're going to hear what it is and how it's unique and so much more. David shares with us great tips on entrepreneurial wisdom, getting yourself moving instead of stuck or watching everybody else succeed while you stay in the same position. We talk about mindset, we talk about putting it out there, and we talk about getting things done and how it's okay to fail. Usually you're going to end up succeeding, but you can't quit moving forward. So David has a bunch of great wisdom for you. He's going to share with you just a piece of his life, but you're going to see how much value's in it. So at this time, get your pen and paper ready, maybe get your favorite beverage to enjoy while you listen to this episode of the Remarkable People podcast with our friend, David Sauers now.
The Remarkable People podcast. Check it out. The Remarkable People podcast. Listen, do, repeat for life. The Remarkable People podcast.
Hey, David, how are you today?
I'm great. Thanks for having me this morning.
It is my pleasure and honor. I just told our listeners around the world a little bit about you and right from the source, from you. If someone is a first-time listener, if they've been with us all 6+ years and 300+ episodes, what is at least one thing that you guarantee they're going to be able to glean from your episode, be able to apply to their life, and be even more prosperous and have more joy and more peace?
I think the most important thing that people will get out of this is don't take your time. Go ahead and launch yourself right into it. Take your ideas and run with them. Don't sit back and try to perfect anything. Launch it. Get behind it, and you'll figure it out along the way. Doesn't matter if you fail, you still learn and you still prosper.
Yeah, and that is such an important lesson. For myself, everybody's on a different scale, a different side of the scale, ladies and gentlemen. Some people are more entrepreneur mindset. Some people are more conservative, measure 1,000 times, not just twice. And we need to find that balance. So David's going to help us. He's going to share his life story. He's going to explain to you how this lesson became so important to him. And then we're going to talk about the practical steps of how he learned this and applied it to his life so you can too. We'll be back right after this. This is the MyPillow body pillow. It is huge. It is fluffy. It is soft. It comes with matching sheets to your MyPillow bed sheets. And it is the best body pillow we've ever used. When we first got it in, it was wrapped tight and really small. We read the instructions through the dryer for 20 minutes, and it is full and plump and so comfortable. So check out this product and 200 other products at mypillow.com. Use promo code Remarkable, save 30 to 80% off everything you order. And with promo code Remarkable, you typically get free shipping too, which is an exclusive to our podcast. So check out body pillows, MyPillows, sheets, blankets, bath towels, and anything else you need for your home at mypillow.com/remarkable right after this great episode of the Remarkable People podcast. All right, welcome back. All right, David. So you were just talking about one of the most fundamental principles that people miss in business and entrepreneurship. Talk to us. Where were you from? Where are you from? What was your upbringing like? The good, the bad, the ugly, the pretty ugly, because everything that happens to us makes us the men we are. So what was your life story, and how did that just going for it become so important to you?
Wow. life story. Where do you begin on that one? But no, what we talked about briefly, and that is, you know, everybody is creative. Everybody has got this entrepreneurial mindset. I believe everybody wants to be and feel important, and your ideas are. So if you've got a business idea and you've got something you think will be beneficial to all others, move forward with it. Don't wait, don't delay, attack it and test it. And you will find that little golden egg at the end of the rainbow. But I'm David Sauers and I'm from Savannah, Georgia. I think my life story begins as a child when I wanted a little bit more. I wanted to test the things that were out there. I wanted to make things better and more usable. I liked exploring that avenue of making things a little bit more exceptional, building upon other people's ideas and making them more adaptable to myself and others.
And was this something that was common in your family? Was this how your whole family was wired? Is this something that was unique to you? Do you have mom, dad, uncles, sisters, brothers? How was your family structure?
Yes, had all of that. Most of them were entrepreneurs. Most of them owned small businesses. Most of them were self-doers. My father went back to medical school when I was in the sixth grade. That was always a dream that he had wanted. Both of my grandparents, though, owned small businesses. And I got to kind of see that inner workings of working for yourself and, you know, the buck stops with you and how much you put into it is how much you get out of it. So I believe that from an early age, I wanted just a little bit more. And with my father going back to medical school, we didn't have a whole lot of options from a money standpoint. And so I had to get out there. And if I wanted to be like my friends and have a little bit nicer things or be able to do a little bit more, like go to the movies or go play golf, I had to make I had to make a little bit of money to be able to do those things because my family wasn't able to do it.
And see, that is something that to you, it's every day, it's common. The mindset is, okay, I want this, I got to change, I got to do more, let's go. And not all of our listeners have that. They came from very conservative backgrounds or very cautious or risk adverse backgrounds. So let's do this then, because if it comes natural to you and you watched your family do it, you saw, I want more. What's the next step in your mind if you were to reverse engineer what you're thinking? Is it I look for an opportunity? Is it I blank? Like, what is the next step when you want more?
Well, I think the first step is to put it out there. The mind is an amazing thing. And if you put out there that you want to accomplish something or you want to develop something or build something, once you've put it out there in the open, your mind starts to believe that. Your mind starts to see that and it starts to create opportunities to achieve it. It may not be exactly what you were thinking, but the world presents itself in many different ways. And you have to be able to want to seize that opportunity when it's available.
Yes. Okay, I have 100 questions, but let's get through your story. Our listeners have been around for years with us and they know how the show goes. We're going to ask you specific questions, reverse engineer your success, get steps for our listeners to also emulate that. But let's finish your story. So you're young, your father's showing you go for what you want, but money's tight going to medical school. Where does your life go from there in the progression? You want more. What's the next step that appears?
Well, yeah, like you said, I did want more. I wanted to be a little bit more and I wanted to be able to do things that my friends were doing. And to be able to do that, I had to make a few different paths. So I started work at an early age. And by, wanting to have a little bit more, I had to create those opportunities. So you start to see small niches that you can make a dime, turn into $1. And that is really that's that self motivation that you get. And each time you do it, you get a little bit more confident you start to build upon that confidence. You start to be a little bit more ambitious. It's ingrained in all of us to look to be proud of something that you do. So by being honest with yourself, by listening to yourself, by listening to others, but most importantly, believing in yourself and believing that there's a higher power out there that will help and guide you along the way.
Yeah. And now for me, our listeners know I come at everything from a Christian worldview, biblical worldview. Not all our listeners have that foundation. Not all our guests have that foundation. So I believe that the Bible is real. And when we're praying to God, as long as it lines up with his will, he's going to provide. Is that how you feel, or what's your take on it?
I do. I believe, I believe that there is a moral right, especially in the Bible. I mean, it teaches you to follow the path of righteousness. But there are the sins that are easily fallen into with greed and fame that go along with it. And you just have to kind of walk that line, because each one of those things will help you into being a better human being, a better person to your community, and a better family man, and from a loving perspective from, a spouse. I I put my business in front of my family a lot when I was younger, because I thought that the goals would help them be better and achieve a better life, when in fact it was too short of a time. I should have focused a little bit more on my family and my children when I was younger. But that is a mistake that I made. And of course, I would like to pass along to others that there is not anything more important than being with your family and being with one.
Yeah. And I don't want to, we go as deep or as shallow as you want. And these are really hard because I know I have regrets. Most people have regrets, or there's actually probably something wrong in our life, right?
Yes.
But when you're talking about your family, I have deep regrets with my family as well. And while we don't want to talk about it because it's painful, if we warn people who are about to enter that phase of life, we could potentially throw a red flag that they actually stop and change course and they get it, quote unquote, right. So looking back at your life, what would be advice you'd give yourself? Like, you're an entrepreneur, you're striving for more, you love your family. That's like usually the conundrum. You're doing the work because you love your family, but yet we neglect our family. So how would you recommend for people to find, whether you want to call it balance, or what would you
Yeah.
recommend?
David, absolutely. Exactly what you're saying right there. I fooled myself into thinking that what I was doing was for the betterment of my family and their future, when, a child just wants you to be there. I missed birthdays with my kids because I thought that I was achieving something more. But the truth of the matter is I'm not out saving lives. I'm not, I have a bathroom company. I was self-motivated by a lot of my own ambitions, and I fooled myself into thinking that that was the right path, but it's not. My children are as old as 27, and I have an 8-year-old. So of my 5 children, I missed a lot of time with my girls, my older kids, because I did put business in front. And I think if you can sit back and make sure that you prioritize and make things as important as that next email or that next milestone in your business, and put that in your kids, going to just soccer games, showing up to parent teacher meetings. Those things are important. Like you said, it's also, going to church with your children. Uh, by reinforcing those things, it sets a standard, a tradition, a sense of welcomeness and trust that they can rely on and that they can push into their future. One of the coolest things that we've done is we actually eat on our china. My children have eaten on their china, 5 or 6 times a year. We make it a point to do that. And it's kind of something that's a tradition that I think is passed, but they get excited about it. They respect that family meal together. They look forward to it. And it's something that they'll carry on past our lives, past my life, and that they will do with their children.
And talk about that, because that's a cultural thing not everybody's experienced. Talk about eating on the china.
Yeah, well, I did not do that when we were growing up or with my family. It was something that I always wanted to do. I, saw it on TV. I watched that family bond, that closeness, the ties that it brings, because it sets a little bit different atmosphere. It sets those memories like this is something special. And, it is special, especially when you get dressed up for it in your own home. You give thanks, you share memories, you share toast, you understand that this is something that's more than just a little bit of a meal or more than a family gathering.
Yeah, and it becomes special, and everybody can do it differently. What you're saying is, in America, it was like pull out the china, the finest dishes we have, and dress nice and have a sumptuous meal. It was something that was just special, and it was for family.
Mhm.
Correct, yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah, so it just shows a sanctity, you're appreciative to God, you're showing your best to your family, and that's all it needs to be. Love God, love others, but you start with your own inside circle. So, okay, so now you are wanting more out of life, you're seeing opportunity, and you mentioned, you started a company. Go through the beginnings of that company and where it brought you to today.
Well, yeah, the origins of my business, Royal Restrooms, was started 22 years ago, and it was out of an event that most people probably have. They have a bad portable toilet experience. I think, David, I can look at you and say, have you been like, oh, I got to go to the portable toilet? You kind of, have that sense. Well, at the time I was a commercial banker, so I got to see a lot of other small entrepreneurs that I banked, and it was something that was somewhat appealing. But taking my children to a portable toilet when they were potty training, it was a traumatic experience. That I hadn't really put a whole lot of thought into, but taking Stella into the porta potty, had Cece on my hip, turned around. You can imagine the situation. I think most of us can go into the bathroom and it's dark. There is, well, a box. You're going in a box. And that was something that immediately was, yes, transformative. Um, how can this be the standard in today's time? Long story short, Stella ended up peeing on me. I was went from kind of upset to being very, very upset. Took her home and went out and outlined a half bath restroom trailer. Sat on it for a little while, and my business partner, Robert Glisson, also from Savannah, Georgia, we partnered together and came up with the business Royal Restrooms, which today is probably the standard in portable restroom service across the country.
That's fantastic. And what did you do? Because most people have used a porta potty within North America and South America. I can't speak for the rest of the world, but within North America, it's very popular. What did you do different?
Well, we made a fully functioning restroom on a trailer. It was kind of a difficult process in the very beginning because it was so transformative from all of the traditional porta potties out there. You had a lot of people that said that that would never work. They thought that we were crazy, but this is something that is one of the two most private things that I think that we do right now, and that's probably count our money and go to the bathroom. Everybody wants to do it in somewhat comfort and reliability. So why not make sure that you're able to have a real functioning restroom at outdoor events. And that's what we created with the Royal Restrooms.
Beautiful. Yeah. And I don't, everybody has had a situation where doesn't matter what country you're from, doesn't matter how old you are, you got to use the bathroom. And when someone is a weirdo and they try to watch you or peek in, or there's not a door and you're, sitting down, that's super uncomfortable. And there's like this shame, and I don't know how to verbalize it, but I remember even being in the hospital. I had 3 days of surgery, had tumor cut out of my head, and I'm recovering, right? And the thing that disturbed me most is I had what is it called? I had a catheter in me and I had
Oh,
to pee
God.
in a bag. It was humiliating. And that to me was, I never understood inside, but I think what you're saying, everyone can relate to. There's just something in the core, how God made us, where there's that humility to not be naked in front of one another except our spouse, and to, do the private, pee and poop in the private.
I mean, you even think about from a child's perspective, they go to the bathroom, they go to a corner, they go out of the way. My son, it's 8 years old. All of a sudden, just out of nowhere, it's like, hey, can I have some privacy? You want to shut the door? Um,
Yeah.
it's not something that's even taught. It's just human nature. You do that. I mean, a child that is in diapers, they will go to a corner or they will go under a table or something weird like that. It's something that's just innate, that it's a private thing that we do. Um, and going to the restroom, it shouldn't be made to be uncomfortable. So we make sure that we ensure that you're able to have a nice, pleasant, portable restroom experience here at Royal Restrooms.
And then now, we want to talk about everything, your personal life and your
Mhm.
professional life, and we want to be able to tie it all together. So I don't want to lead a conversation in a direction you don't want to go.
Sure.
But now you start this company with your friend, and it could be the greatest idea in the world, but you still have to market it. You got to share it. You got to sell it. How did you develop the organization?
Well, we first went to and we thought about, who was going to be the one that's going to use this, because it is a significant cost increase over what the current product is that's out there. So we went directly to weddings. We felt like if there's anybody out there that is going to pay for this, it's going to be weddings. It's going to be a single use, single day use. Over time, of course, that changed. But yes, in the beginning, our entire marketing concept was geared 100% towards weddings. Now it's festivals, sporting events, business remodels, even backyard parties. Um, we even do some funerals. Anything that's outdoors, we provide an elevated restroom.
And we'll put a picture, ladies and gentlemen, in the show notes. And I'll even try to maybe incorporate in the podcast cover art so you can see it wherever you're listening in the world. These are very cool. I have seen these elevated restrooms before, and they're fantastic. I've even seen them where they had attendance. I think that's the word, where
Yes.
someone was in there, not watching you go to the bathroom, but making sure they're clean. Now, was that something the venue provided, or was that something your organization does too?
We do that as well, and to give a little bit more what you were saying, what we provide, and when you enter a restroom trailer, like Royal Restrooms, it has a full flushing toilet. They have vanities. They have sinks with running water. It's climate controlled. You have nice um, art on the walls. It's very spacious. You have a closed room that uh, is well lit and has mirrors. We have flowers on the counter. We even have mints. So it's essentially a real, what you would consider a real functioning restroom, just anywhere that's outdoors on a trailer.
Yes, and and like I said, where I've been, they were even. I remember the one I saw, and I don't know if this was maybe your brand, but it had two sides people walked up from, and there
Mhm.
was three bathrooms on each side. and it was beautiful and clean. Like you said, it felt like you were at home, not at a concert or outdoor event. So let's do this now. You got the company, you're growing the company, you're learning lessons. So between birth and today, because I got some more questions, is there anything else we missed in your life or lessons you learned that you want to share with our community?
Sure. Well, you know, like I said before, a lot of ideas, you come up with a lot of different ideas. You try to fine tune them. You try to make them perfect before you go to launch or develop something. A lot of times we put the cart way before the horse, but if we had never tried to make it happen, we would not be where we are today. We started this business and we started selling licenses. People wanted our product. We tried to get it out there and we tried to do it. We got in trouble by the federal government. They shut us down for almost 20 months because they said that we were a franchise. Sometimes, you end up paying for your education in many different ways, but it doesn't mean that you fail. It just means that you learned a better way to do it and how to do things properly. So I, I would always push those boundaries and continue to try to make sure that you at least try. It's so important for you to try what you put out there when you're looking at a business perspective.
Yeah, and what you're saying right off the bat, when you spoke this, I wanted to dive in, but I don't want to ignore your life story, right? Because a lot of people come here for that life story and they connect and then they see how you succeeded, launch from it. But what you were just discussing, I can't think of many people in my life I've ever met, and I can't think of a lot of scenarios in my life where I failed professionally and look back and regret. It's always like, "Oh, okay, I learned how to do it better. Yeah, I screwed up that time, but next time I'm gonna kill it," you know? But the ones that haunt you are the ones you don't go for, the ones you don't try, the ideas you have that you never run with, and then 5 years down the road, you see some other moron running with it. You know what I mean?
Eh,
It's just like,
Well, yeah, it's like what
and
you
you're not
said.
a moron, I'm just saying. Sorry, that was a bad
Uh,
word.
no, but I've made a bunch of money. I've lost a bunch of money, made a bunch of money, lost a bunch of money. So many people today, another thing that I've learned is that when you're an entrepreneur, you are try everything. You want this to be so successful that you're being innovative, you're being creative. So many people, once they've started their business and they have achieved some success at it, they start to lose that and they start to hold on to things. They don't want to change. They don't want to adapt. This is how we've always done things. Well, but it's really not how you've always done things. You just got into that protection mode because you have more to lose than you did before. And so, even businesses that have reached milestones, they continue to have to be innovative and they continue to have to grow and they have to adapt to new markets. Otherwise, they will get left behind.
Yeah, have you ever read the book, Who Moved My Cheese?
I've about 20 years ago, 25 years ago, maybe I did.
Yeah,
I
so
read it when I was a bank. Yes.
yeah, I love that book. The first, there's 3 sections if someone's not familiar with it. The first is kind of the setup, the second's a short story, and then the third's like the summary of explaining it in case you need it. But that's exactly what David's talking about right now, how if you're doing the same thing over and over again, eventually the cheese is gonna run out or eventually the cheese is gonna
Mhm.
move. But you gotta go find new cheese and you can't be afraid to do it. And it's gonna take some work. And it's something that it's going to happen. There's no business that just perpetually grows without any kind of change or new products or new creation. So I think that's awesome that you're talking about it. So for your industry, what are some of the changes and growth you did in the portable restroom?
Well, In the beginning, I think we just tried to continue to get the name out there and the word out there that there is a difference. There's a better option out there that's available to you by means of a portable restroom trailer. And I think we've done a remarkable job. There are, that is somewhat the standard in today's market, especially from a wedding and high-end corporate events. But one of the things that we continued to try to do was make it nicer on the inside, when it also needs to be made better on the outside. It needs to be made more durable. It needs to be more functionable and, how do you say, maybe picturesque. It needs to blend into more occasions. It's always been this big white kind of cargo box out there. And one of the things that we did a couple of years ago was change it to a more rounded, polished stainless steel, more something that elevated a little bit more, that blended into the background.
So more like an
So
Airstream trailer? I'm trying to visualize.
I didn't want to necessarily say that, an Airstream trailer, but yes, instead of the big wide cargo box now, we've started making what we call our vintage restroom series, which is that it looks more similar to an
70s.
Airstream.
Yeah.
Yes.
I'm not trying to brand or throw your deep. I'm not trying to belittle what you're doing or lift it up. When you were describing it, the mental image I got was an Airstream
Yes.
shape from the 70s, which there was probably 20 companies that had that shape.
Mhm.
They just survived. That's all. So
But it looks remarkable. And we're testing other products out. We've got a beverage trailer that looks similar to that. So we're able to now not just market just as a restroom company, but more of an events company. So we're trying to hit that whole target. It doesn't necessarily change our footprint from an employee standpoint or a vehicle, deployment standpoint. So by offering beverage trailers, expanding into office trailers, even refrigeration trailers are something that we're testing in select markets across the country, because it's more of an event services product rather than just a restroom product.
yes, and let's talk about that. Ladies and gentlemen, you are in a technological age where you can rewind. Rewind 30 seconds and listen to what David said again. They're not a restroom company. They're an events planning company. David, if you and your employees just heard all day that you're a restroom company, all they're going to focus on is, okay, how do we do our job well? But if you're an events planning company, now their minds and your mind are open to all of these new opportunities, and just you, like you talked about earlier, you can seize what you see. You mentioned the beverages. You're at a wedding. They don't just they need a restroom. They also have drinks and food. So how important is it to brand your company, not brand, to position your company properly for your own interest and your employees?
Well, I think it's by changing that mindset. That one thing is we've been a restroom company for over 20 years, and that is something that we do exceptionally well. And we're not changing that. We're not trying to say that we're not a restroom company anymore, but we're saying that we can be more. We can elevate that entire product line. There's only 52 weekends in a year. So there's only so many different events. So how do we capitalize on making uh, options more available that would perhaps benefit and enhance their own event? Well, by testing out LED TV trailers, we're doing movie nights at golf courses, at neighborhoods. Now people may be requesting a TV, and now they realize that they need a restroom. So it's actually kind of a cross-selling reversal in some cases. But again, it doesn't change our footprint, because we are in the, like I said, the professional events industry. We consider ourselves in that platform and not just a restroom platform. And by taking that mindset, we take the porta potty out and we look at everybody is in the wow factor. We're here to do something amazing.
Yeah, and you are, and you're becoming so much more. I remember reading about a case study with a similar, they made wheelchairs, and this manufacturer made the best wheelchairs, but their growth was pretty much, they thought they hit their ceiling. And they got a new CEO in, and he's like, "We are a medical device company.
Mm-hmm.
Right now, we just have one product, but we are a medical device company." And everybody laughed at it. And this, small company is now a global leader in these all sorts of solutions because that mindset was changed. So when you're looking at things, we have to challenge ourselves. What's the mental process if you reverse engineer it when you change your mindset?
Well, my mindset is always, I want to make things more, I want things to continue to be exciting. It's another thing to change other people's minds, to get them to follow exactly what you're seeing. And so you really have to do a lot of in-depth thought because and getting your message out there. What's in your head and what comes out of your mouth are two different things. And sometimes people have to visualize it. So sometimes you have to take a leap of faith and look to outside sources. A lot of people, even within my industry, we're a restroom company. We don't want to, why are you trying to push these things out there? We're a restroom company. We're a restroom company. A lot of it though takes, you almost have to get some outside perspective from events coordinators, from guests, for them to sometimes realize the vision that you're trying to see, for them to accept it. Because so many people have roadblocks put up because they don't want to change. They don't want to do things differently. That they have to come about it on their own terms. And that's something that's very hard because most people, put up that defensive wall when anything is different. So I think you just have to keep hitting it from different directions and not so much try to hammer it into somebody that this is the only way forward. Find a different direction, find a different path. Go over it, around it, under it, through it. One way is not the answer.
So now I think that's an excellent advice. There's so many people listening to our show and they're listening to your voice right now, David, and they're kicking themselves just like, man, I had an idea like that, or I've had so many ideas and I see it come to market. Knowing you just from this conversation or pre-call, you're not the type of guy this is your only focus. I'm sure you have other ideas and run with them. Maybe you invest, maybe you don't, maybe you start up, but this is obviously your primary focus right now. But when you do come across an idea, or when someone comes across an idea, any one of our listeners, what do you recommend they do to make those ideas a reality?
Start by putting it out there. Start by talking about it. Talk about it with yourself. Don't just think about it. Write it down. Come up with a plan. Start researching. Talk about it with your partner. Talk about it with your friends. But, who you talk to it about, you need to make sure that they're the right supportive style. In other words, they're not just going to agree with you. They're going to force you to dig deeper. They're going to force you to bring something a little bit more. Play devil's advocate. Building businesses, starting things new. I have a wonderful partner. My wife, Christy, is a huge supporter. She works with me. She has built different businesses with me. And it's almost building businesses as kind of playtime. It's fun. It's fun bouncing things off of each other. Neither one of us have to be 100% right on anything. We just want to, we want it to be fun. We want it to be enjoyable. We want to leave our mark, our legacy off of small things that make a bigger impact outside of just our family, but our community.
And to talk
We
about
built,
leaving a mark, talk about that because so many people go through life like a just this is what I'm told to do, so I do, and they don't even think about their existence. And we talk about our slogan is listen, do, repeat for life. Listen to the great wisdom Dave's sharing with you, ladies and gentlemen. Do what you need to do. Repeat it each day. Form good habits so you can have a great life in this world, but more importantly, in eternity to come. We've been saying that for 7 years. I've been saying it since I got saved at 15. But Dave, for you, you're talking about leaving a legacy. Talk about the importance of that and how that motivates you.
right. So, David, I want my family, my children to be proud of the things that we've done. Even though that we've made mistakes along the way, I hope that we've been able to make a large enough impact that overcomes some of those challenges. One of the most important things I think is expressing our gratitude. Um, looking at the outcome. So many people nowadays have just this negative, almost compulsory attitude that is negative. Oh, so-and-so did this. Oh, look at the way they're driving. My wife is one of those ones that always looks at the most remarkable outcomes, that there's a good that comes from every situation, even if it is bad. It could have been worse. For instance, like a car wreck. Hey, yeah, we banged up the car, but no one's hurt. We're here to keep moving forward and live another day. So let's be grateful in that sense. Every day, it's a difficult path, and it's a taxing path to always try to be positive and to keep your chin up, because it is emotionally draining for individuals that are like that. And it's something that is learned and trained. And that's why I go back to say that the mind is just so remarkable. When you put things out there, it's almost like there's a higher presence making sure that that's the path that you follow. When you put things out there, it starts to come to fruition.
Now, I agree with that, but there's so many different ways people apply it. So to make sure we're clear, when you say putting it out there, how do you put it out there? How do you recommend our listeners start putting it out there?
Well, by testing what it is that you think will make your lives better. Don't, if you've got an idea, if you've got something, do it. Don't wait on it. Don't try to perfect it. Put it out there, test it, and the right path will come to you. You may fail. That's fine. We don't look at failure as failure. We look at this as a learning curve. You know, don't try to continue to redo the same thing and expect different results. You have to make changes to achieve different results, but you can't move forward with anything if you don't try and you don't put it out there. Until you try, boom, that's when it starts.
Yeah, and then also talk about there's a real problem, like, because you grew up around entrepreneurs and you have that entrepreneur disposition, it's probably easier for you to put things out there, whether it's writing it down or telling your friends or, testing the market. Let's just see what happens. I'm thinking about starting a blank company. I'm going to go buy a truck and put an ad in the paper. Like that's a entrepreneurial mindset. But then there's other people who are so afraid to have their ideas stolen, and there's some legitimate danger to that. They don't tell anybody and they don't try. How do you recommend to people you work with finding the balance?
I think a lot of that comes with confidence in yourself and in your ability to do it. If you're worried about those kind of things, train your mind differently. Your mind is a muscle. A lot of people would say, you know, you know, these athletes are very good because they have muscle memory. No, they train their mind to produce those results. And I think that you have to just come at it from a different perspective and train your mind to be a little bit better. Those people that are a little more reclusive and secretive like that, try something that is outside of your comfort zone. The more you are uncomfortable, the more comfortable you will get at it.
I think that's excellent advice. And obviously, ladies and gentlemen, you need discernment, you need good judgment, but think of all the ideas you've had in your life. If you've had a dozen great ideas and not one of them has moved forward, then it might be better just to put it out there. If it gets stolen, it gets stolen, right? I've had stuff stolen big time. I'm sure you have too, David.
Yeah,
Right?
we all have. And
Yeah.
it's just, and that's part of the world that we live in. And it just, it happens. I mean, we see it, uh, you know, a lot of the trailers that, and designs and things that I've done, I can look on, my designs pop up on stuff made in China. I mean, people steal stuff all over. That's just the life that we live on. But you can't get bogged down in that kind of stuff. You have to, your path is you. It's not what other people, you are in control of your destiny and how you think about those things. You cannot worry what others think or try to do. If it's your idea and somebody else has stolen it, you still know the backbone of it. You still know the backstory. You know how to improve upon it. It's still your idea, even if you don't necessarily get the credit for it. You're the one that can make it better. You're the one that can make it prosper.
Yeah. And that is so true. And acting, if you want to keep someone truly from stealing your idea or concept, action is the number one way. Get a provisional patent. You can do it for a few bucks online.
Mhm.
You run with the idea and you have a year to kill it or bury it. And that's how I look at it at this point in life. After 48 years, I worked for large organizations. I've worked for mom and pops. I've done things on my own. I've consulted other companies. I've come down to the conclusion, just run with it. Where do you think about that, David?
Uh, a lot of that goes back to that mindset. I hear a lot of people say, I don't have enough time to do that. You can make the time to do it. If it's something that you are truly passionate about, you can do it. Like you said, it's not that expensive, especially even going with a trademark or a simple copyright is pretty cheap to do on the whole grand scheme of things. But if you believe in something and you want to do something, you have to put in the effort. And so many people nowadays don't want to put in the effort. They want things to come easy. They expect it to be easy. You have to master that determination within yourself and master that structure of self-discipline to make sure that those things get done. And when you do that, yes, you are rewarded with the fruits of your labor.
I couldn't agree more. Man, this has been fantastic. Ladies and gentlemen, I hope you're getting a lot out of this episode. If someone, David, wants to continue the conversation, if they want to learn more, do you have books? Do you have a website? Do you do consulting? Do you have an email they can reach at? What's the best way for people to connect with you and continue the conversation?
Yes. Well, I'm on LinkedIn under David Sauers. I'll also just put up a website, that's davidsauers.com. My main business is royalrestrooms.com, and we can be found on all social media, uh, links out there. But yeah, I do have a couple other different companies out there, Kruger Busch Campers, Airy Transit, Savannah Bar Carts. Those are some of the fun things that we're doing. And I would love to continue this conversation with anybody because being a consultant, I enjoy talking about business and helping people realize their own dreams and getting them, self-starters, to help motivate them along the way.
And now I don't want to make a bad assumption, but I'm assuming the Royal Restrooms is your primary business, correct?
Correct. Absolutely.
If someone wants to be like, hey, We have company functions all the time. Let's hook this up. What is your primary region, or what regions do you currently serve? Are you in all 50 states? Are you in the Southeast? Where are you at currently?
We're in 20 states. We are on the West Coast we have Washington, Idaho, Oregon, California, Arizona, Utah, New Mexico, Colorado, Texas, Georgia, Florida, South Carolina, North Carolina, Virginia, Ohio, Tennessee, Louisiana, and Alabama.
Awesome.
So
So you have quite the footprint. And again, they can go, does Royal Restrooms, I assume, have a website as well?
absolutely, royalrestrooms.com. And any of the social media links are under also Royal Restrooms.
Excellent. And I'll put, again, all this in the show notes as usual, ladies and gentlemen. But if you have questions, don't be afraid. Reach out to David. Hopefully, whatever we've discussed today can trigger something and act as a catalyst in your life that's going to sincerely better your life, better other people's lives, and glorify God. That's why we do this. So, David, before we wrap up the show, is there anything else we missed in your life? Is there anything else you want to share? Or is there a final word of wisdom you want to just drop a bomb before we end the episode?
Just get out there and do it. Don't hold back. Lean on that support staff. Follow your dreams. Nobody is going to hand you anything in this life. You have to get out there and earn it. With a little luck and grace and gratitude, you can achieve anything.
I think that is true. I think, with God, all things are possible. And I think we talk about this all the time as believers, but God says, ask and ye shall receive. I don't believe in a straight up prosperity gospel because I don't think that's in the gospel. But I do believe that if it's in line with God's will, he's absolutely going to give it to you because we're his children and he loves us. So with that said, David, thank you so much for being here today. I really appreciate you.
It was my pleasure. And thank you very much for having me on today.
Oh, no, ladies and gentlemen, if you enjoyed this episode, reach out to David. If you have any feedback, how I can make the show better for you, please send me an email. Even if you're like, dude, you got a big nose, wear a mask, whatever it is, share it. And then share this also with your family and friends. We're not just trying to get popular. We're thankful we're a top podcast in the world, but we want to grow and reach as many people as we can. Because like our slogan says, listen, do, repeat for life. We want to help you grow. We want to help other people grow, and we want to glorify God. So I'm David Pasqualone. This is our remarkable friend, David, and we will see you in the next episode. Ciao. Ladies and gentlemen, I sincerely hope this show has inspired you. The whole purpose of the Remarkable People podcast is to inspire you, to motivate you into action, to help you have an even better life, to overcome things you've not yet been able to overcome, or to grow to the next level that you never thought possible. And all of this, not just to benefit you in this world, but to have you come to a relationship with God where it grows every day stronger, and not just this world is blessed, but your eternity is blessed. And we sincerely want to do just that and to glorify God. And we hope with this episode, we accomplish that. If we did, please let me know. It's great to be encouraged and to spread the word to our remarkable guests that it helped in your life. If we didn't, let me know. Write me an email. You can go to davidpasqualone.com, go to our contact us page, and let me know what you think. I got tough skin. Let it rip. Anything you can think of to make this a better podcast, to help you grow and to glorify God, I'm in. So that's it. Thank you for listening to the podcast. Thank you for sending us feedback. If we can help you in any way, let us know. And if you can spread the word about the Remarkable People podcast, share the episode to your friends, your family on social media, it would be a huge honor and blessing. Again, I'm not trying to be the most famous podcast in the world for my benefit. I truly want a podcast that's the best podcast in the world to help as many people as we can to have a better life, come to know Christ, to grow in the Lord, and to have that salvation so they can be with God in peace and joy in eternity. And right now we're together on this earth. So let's do everything we can to work together and help each other grow. Like the Bible says, love the Lord thy God as a first commandment. And the next commandment is to love thy neighbor as thyself. So let's do it together. I'm David Pasqualone. I love you, not as much as God loves you, but if I can help you in any way, just ask. And again, please share this with your friends and family so we can help them too. Ciao. See you in the next episode.
The Remarkable People Podcast. Check it out. The Remarkable People Podcast. Listen, do, repeat. For life. The Remarkable People Podcast.